Well, that doesn't look good. Hold on. I told you graphics wouldn't work today. Okay, so that's an example of a blank web page. Let me do this one here. This is a demo we did at Google I/O. This is basically a text-to-speech engine. So anything I type in this text area, if you can see that, it should...
Welcome to Google I/O. We hope you enjoy the show.
So it should do the text-to-speech for us, and that's using native client again.
Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Charlie, Alpha.
What else? An example of doing 2D graphics. This is calculating pi using Monte Carlo approximation, using Canvas. Not that exciting. You could do this in any language. C++ probably isn't the best option for this, but again, a good example of the computational power here, and offloading that to native client. Let me try this one again because this is a good one.
Alpha.
There we go. So this is Qt rendering this, and I can flip them around and animate them, transform, pixelate. But if you look at the source of this page, right, it's exactly what you saw before. So there is no canvas tag on here. This is rendered in the Pepper APIs using native client, and you can see at the bottom there the same thing I showed you before, which is the embed tag loading the modules itself. Cool. So I think I'm just about done, unless there's one more that I can show you. Here's an example of just a silly drawing application using the 2D APIs of Pepper. And this is just rendering the graphics out to a canvas tag in this case. So here's your module, and here's your canvas tag. Time is up. All right, I'm all done. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll feel free to ask.
有人有问题想要发问吗？
Question. A simple question. The interface look a bit, say, complex compared with, say, Java's JNI. Do you have any plan to simplify that?
It is complex. I think C++ is generally complex. One thing that I've noticed, I'm a web developer at heart. I'm not a C++ developer, and looking at that code for me is very complex. But what we're doing is the sea salt layer that I sort of described, the layer that bridges the gap in between JavaScript and C++, we're going to make that feel more like Java. There's also a web IDL sort of library that we're going to use, so you can actually do DOM manipulations within C++. So it's going to feel a little bit more web developy. From a web developer point of view, it's going to feel a little cleaner. But at the same time, it will be complex. This stuff, like if you're porting a library, right, it's going to be everything it was originally in the source. Hope that answers your question.
还有人有问题吗？
What license is it released under?
The native client source code?
Yeah,
That's a great question. The project page itself should say, but I don't want to give a wrong answer without knowing. So someplace on this project page it does say, but I won't bother looking it up right now. But if it doesn't,
BSD license.
It does. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah, at the top there.
So currently you're supporting only 3 architectures.
So right now it's x86 and ARM.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
that's not for me. That's not run everywhere. So how do you plan to support other architectures?
Right now they're focused on x86 and soon to be ARM for like netbooks. There is the case. What other architectures would you like to see?
Well, Debian supports 11 architectures.
Okay.
Okay, I run a netbook that runs MIPS, for example.
Right,
And
right.
there are different kinds of MIPS actually. So
Sure. Right now, I mean, the target is the sort of the mainstream, right? And x86
yeah, so,
is the
so
big one.
basically by doing these kind of things, you're actually breaking the webs, making some web pages not run on other architecture, unless you have a plan to support these architectures.
Well, I don't think we're breaking the web. I mean, we're augmenting the web with different capabilities,
Well,
right?
it's the same. I've been censored.
Sorry, I think
I say it's like Flash that say they run everywhere on all they're multi-platform where they're not. So if you run, what everybody buys, and you go into the lobbying and the bad business practices of Intel and Mac, it's fine. If you buy something because you want to run another CPU, then it's not so good.
No, absolutely right, and it's still a project that the team is actively developing, right? I mean, this is where we are at this point. Give it a year, who knows where we'll be, right? The team is ever growing, and so yeah, we'll see. It's one of those things that'll take off if the technology is promising and people start developing on it, and we see how interesting applications can be built on top of it. We'll get more resources, and other browsers maybe will adopt the same technology, right? So right now it's going to be a feature of Google Chrome, and then maybe in the future it's a feature of other browsers, Firefox, Safari.
Actually, you have two issues. You have browser support and CPU support. So it's
Okay, well, we can talk offline then. I mean, the web is a broken place in general, right? So, yeah.
You mentioned that you are going to support like Firefox or other browsers.
Uh-huh.
I mean, will you turn to be part of WebKit project or will be?
So you said WebKit?
Yeah.
So I mentioned that if the technology is compelling enough for other browsers to implement it, they will. Right now, well, actually, the team did put together a module or an install plugin for Firefox originally. Since we've gone to just Chrome. So for the initial release, we're only going to support Chrome. That's going to be the browser you can use native client in. If developers, want to develop really slick applications, and other browsers will start seeing how cool this stuff is and the compelling use cases for it, then they'll do that.
So both desktop and embedded platforms.
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
So both desktop and embedded platforms. I mean, for example, Android platform as well.
Yeah, it's hard to hear up here. The speaker's not that great, so. But we can talk afterwards if you'd like.
好，那这个时间也到，我们再以热烈的掌声，谢谢 Eric。